This is episode 3 of our video series for studying the recent cue cards. The topics in this video are: first, describe an interesting conversation you had with a very old person. Second, describe a travel that you were looking forward to but was delayed. And third, describe an occasion when you heard someone complaining about something in a restaurant or a business. My name is Julius. I help students achieve their target band scores in their IELTS speaking test or IELTS writing test. Let's begin. First is describe an interesting conversation you had with a very old person. First of all, let's understand what an interesting conversation is. An interesting conversation simply refers to a conversation that gives you an important lesson in life to learn, or it gives you motivation to do the things that you really need to do, which you don't do because of so many things that stop you from doing those things. Or an interesting conversation gives you a new piece of information that helps you become knowledgeable, or it gives you an entertainment value that helps you forget about your worries. Now, if I get this cue card, I'll simply talk about the struggles I had to achieve my target band score in the IELTS speaking test. Let's say I failed getting my target band score in the IELTS speaking test several times. And of course, I felt so upset, demotivated, and here comes my grandmother who talked with me, telling me about her words of wisdom. Let's say she shared some valuable lessons to uplift my spirits or to encourage me to fight for my dream. Something like that. I think that's an interesting conversation, a good example of an interesting conversation I had with a very old person. Then I'll just add specific details of our conversation to make my story longer and for me to reach 2 minutes. Simple. Just a tip before we move on to our next cue card. So, since the topic is an interesting conversation, when you deliver your story, you have to show emotions, emotions that you're really interested in talking about that interesting conversation. The problem with many students is that when they deliver their story, they don't show emotions. And I think that's because they are nervous or they're feeling so uncomfortable delivering their story in English. They are just less confident. Now, you have to make sure that your emotions should appear on your face. If your story expresses happiness, then show happiness in your face, because that is very natural. When you do that, you appear confident and you appear like you're a natural communicator. Do it. Next is a travel you were looking forward to but was delayed. I think this is the easiest. Normally, a trip is delayed because of poor weather conditions. Now, to make your story more interesting, I want you to talk about the impact of that delay on your travel schedule that you set beforehand. So basically, you will talk about the problems that that delay brought. Now, let me give you another example so that you have more ideas to choose from to create a story out of this cue card. Let us say your first international travel was delayed simply because you really had to save lots of money because you wanted to make this dream vacation of yours memorable. And the way to achieve that is to spend lots of money on shopping or on doing the activities that you would like to try abroad. And along the way of preparing that dream vacation, unfortunately, you got ill. So that dream vacation, your first international travel, was delayed many times over. Then I want you to talk about the things that you really did to overcome those challenges and highlight the feelings that you basically felt when you made that dream vacation a reality. I think that's enough. You'll be able to create a great story. Anyway, instead of using the word delay, you can use the word postpone. So it's a synonym of the word delay. For example, I postponed my international travel several times because I had to save lots of money. Something like that. Before we continue, I would love to congratulate my student Aman for getting a band of 7.5 from 6.5. Congratulations, and I'm so happy for your success. If you are stuck at 6 or 6.5 and you've been taking the test many times over, then this is your sign. I would love to help you achieve your target band score. I'll teach you the things that I did that helped me get a band 9 on my first attempt at taking the IELTS speaking test. I'll teach you how I made my students achieve their target band scores. Send me an email and I'll send you the terms and conditions and some information about my coaching program. Send an email today and let's achieve the band 7 or even more than band 7. Let's do it. Let's move on to another cue card, and it's about describe an occasion when you heard someone complaining about something in a restaurant or other businesses. So normally a customer complains simply because of poor service. So if you want to talk about a customer who complained at a restaurant, possible ideas that you can use are: first, the customer complained because he waited for so long to get his food, or the food was not properly cooked, or the food that the waiter served was not right. Then I want you to describe how the customer reacted after getting that bad service. And I also want you to include yourself as a person who witnessed the situation or the incident. How did you feel about it? And if you were in the customer's shoes, what would you do? And if you were one of the staff, how would you address the problem considering the feelings that the complainant felt? I think these questions can really help you think of more ideas that can make you develop a more meaningful story. Easy. So if you're busy and you don't have enough time to prepare lots of ideas, lexical resources, and sample monologues for all the 25 recent cue cards or those 50 cue cards, then I would love to offer you my latest reviewers. My reviewers contain lexical resources, ideas, and of course sample monologues. And these reviewers helped many students achieve their target band scores. Some got 8 and even 7.5. So if you're interested, then send me an email or click the link in the comments section. For sure, my reviewers can definitely help you, like how these reviewers helped many students achieve their target band scores, and some of them even exceeded their target band scores. Do it now.